still it's only Nama and Rupa.
Yeah, so I'll have to reread it. I think that, well, normally I can sort of see how it relates to the present moment, but I couldn't really see what he was trying to get at there.
But it's true, so many different insects, so many different kinds of animals.
Yes, but the human species is not varied at all.
Just different kinds of humans, but even so, just all by different conditions. So what we take for the different insects, the different animals, are just different namas and rupas, and so much thinking about all the different variety according to the result of karma at birth.
Yes. I think the other thing is that we can't expect to understand everything. We have to be patient to understand a little bit at a time. So we come across lots of things we don't understand, and we just got to be patient and leave it. And I think especially so in the beginning when we first come across Buddhism, because so much of it we can't understand. But it shows patience. I think we just cannot expect to understand everything, even intellectually.
But we can be confident, like no matter what kind of body or what kind of insect we're talking about, according to different karma, different conditions, that in fact there is no, in reality, there is no body, there is no species, there is no insect. There are just all these different rupas.
Just different realities, yes.
Different realities, that's all. So whatever we read, we know that's what it's about.
Right, yes.
Same realities.
Different arrangements.
The same realities, different ideas stemming from those realities.
Yeah. According to the forms, according to the results of karma from the first moments of life.
Just reflecting on one of the first utterances of the Buddha against the stream of common thought. That's quite a hard thing in real life, isn't it? Because actually the whole world is pushing us towards the wrong direction in a way, towards having more attachment. And there's only a very few words which are kind of going against that. How do you deal with how can you deal with this going against the world?
But it's always about conventional realities that people like to think and talk, and then they hear about the Paramatta Dhammas, which is quite different.
I think that, yes, because everything that we come across on the media, the television, even the people we meet, it's all going, there are very few words going away from attachment to realities.
Does anyone have to deal with it? Can anyone deal with it? Or are they not just different when we hear about different species, for example, are there not just different moments of thinking, different moments of seeing, different moments of hearing, no one to deal, no one to change the reality of the moment?
And also, I suppose it's not just external, because those are things that are happening within ourselves. So I suppose, yes, it's a question of recognizing it, recognizing that these words are going in the wrong, opposite direction to what is right, I suppose.
Like at this moment, thinking about species or thinking about different insects, what is the reality now? It's not a matter of dealing with the attachment or dealing with the wrong view that arises, but just understanding at this moment what appears at that time or this time or any time. Otherwise, if there's an idea of dealing with the conventional world or dealing with other people's ideas, it's the idea of self again that can do something.
Yes, the self, yes.
Perhaps Ajahn is here now. Are you here, Ajahn, now?
Ajahn, are you there?
สวัสดีทุกคนค่ะสวัสดีค่ะ
Alan just has a little bit of time, so we were encouraging him to bring up his points. Maybe he'd like to mention some of it to you too.
Please.
I was just thinking, the point I raised was it was one of the first utterances of the Buddha, that the teachings are against the stream of common thought, And actually, in our everyday life, most of what we come across is against the teachings, in the sense that we are encouraged to have attachment to the objects around us, and all the words that we come across, very, very few words are to encourage us to have understanding of reality. I just wondered, how we can deal with this against the stream of common thought. It seems quite a difficult thing to deal with.
Your own or the others?
I think it's both, isn't it? Because actually, one comes across other people who are encouraging you to go away from the present moment, but also it's within yourself that actually your own thinking is moving you away all the time. The idea of
anyone's chanda, interest, because people have different interests.
yes,
Like this way and the other like the other way. But for you yourself only to know, actually, the truth is so true, it cannot be wrong at all. But it depends on how much there is the understanding of the truth as it is. See, you would like just to understand it only in the beginning, all right, that's all, or more than that, to the absolute truth, ultimate truth. It depends on each other's accumulation. No one can do anything, even one's own accumulation. All depends on conditions. Even right now, even the idea, the thought about this and that comes from accumulation, dependent on accumulation only. So it depends on one's own. As one cannot change one's own accumulation, how can the other or help the other to change? Impossible.
yes.
So it
Yes.
depends on how much one can see the value, the precious understanding, which can condition more wholesome moments in life, up to the moment when it can eradicate completely that which has been accumulated, or akusala. If one just want to have it on and on, it doesn't matter at all to have it. It depends on the accumulation. But for anyone who thinks that there can be the understanding of this life, because to live without understanding from day to day till death, with ignorance again and again and again, or just it doesn't harm anyone at all to understand the truth, the absolute truth. And understanding is quite different from ignorance, no understanding of what is there now at all, what is better depending on one's own accumulation. So what one can do is just talk about the words of the Buddha, the truth, absolute truth, for whatever is there, to begin to understand what is the absolute truth. Whether it's the self, yesterday I did this and that, I ate this and that, and what about now? Whereas the I who eat yesterday, as I am eating, but today, if that moment is I, it's gone. The I's gone. See? Even right now, I'm speaking, but tomorrow, where's the I who is speaking now? Not at all. It's gone with each moment. No I tomorrow, so no I now. Because there will be tomorrow after this moment. Completely none at all from this moment. It depends who would like to understand better and better and better until it can be clear comprehension, penetrate the truth, the absolute truth, just at that which is now appearing. So the words of the Buddha for 45 years, just to bring about the understanding of what is there. Because no attention, no chanda to know it at all from life to life. Just want to do this and that, not understanding this moment as it is, as it's gone, completely, unknowingly. But it can be directly experienced with the understanding of its characteristic as no one there at all. See, seeing is seeing. How can it be anyone? And it's gone when there is no more seeing. And this is the absolute truth. Nobody can change the way it is. It depends on who'd like to understand better until it can be a moment of enlightenment, the truth. That how can it be? It looks like impossible. The world is gone because only one reality is there. Because of sammasati, from understanding of no self, condition that moment without the idea of self or know beforehand that it will be in that moment at all. That anothernness becomes clearer. Because even right now, anothernness is each moment, but it does not open or reveal itself from moment of seeing to thinking, see? So very fast, very rapidly, no attention, no chanda to understand that. Or from hearing, it brings about nothing is more worthy than just understanding the truth of this moment as it is, to have less and less ignorance and unwholesome moments. That's all. That's why we keep on talking about the truth which is hidden. It's now, this moment, but it's hidden. If there is no words of the truth to consider wisely, carefully, whether how it is, and that can be directly experienced too, because Panya develops, even right now, Sankhara Dhamma, no one there at all. How can anyone expect for the next moment to be? Impossible. Anatta, but it's not clear yet, because Panya doesn't let go the idea of self because of not understanding that life is just in a moment.
Thank you.
Alan, the thinking with attachment and ignorance is thinking with attachment, ignorance. For example, if my business is bad and I'm thinking about how to improve it, how to do this, it's exactly the same as anyone else. It's just, it's not only other, it is not just the others who are thinking with ignorance and attachment. It arises in us also in a day. So when it arises in others, we think about how to deal with that. But when it arises with us, we think, yeah, how to deal with this, right? But as Sarah said, it's just, I mean, and that's the value of hearing the Buddha's words, is just understand what appears. And that's important.
Yes, it's just thinking. It's thinking with
Yeah.
attachment, just a reality. Yeah. Why do you think, can we use those phrases, that first sentence of the Buddha then, or one of the first utterance against the stream of common thought? How can we use it constructively?
That's panya. It's only panya that goes against the grain, because unlike I mean, when we have not heard the Dhamma, or as I said, when we are involved in thinking about our different problems in daily life without understanding, we're just going with the flow of attachment and ignorance. It's only understanding which is going against the grain. It rather than thinking to fix things or finding a way to solve situations, just understanding, that's going against the grain.
Yeah.
And Alan, I take it, you asked how it can be used positively. I take it as a reminder that what the common world thinks of as being wholesome or useful or beneficial is mostly unwholesome. And a lot of what the common world might think of as being unwholesome or not useful is wholesome. So in that particular context, there's a big difference.
There is a big difference.
Diametrically opposed.
I mean, I was thinking about that too. But what I've noticed is that happens even for me, when so much of we thinking about certain problems, we think we can fix it by doing this or doing that. And that's the same as thinking that problems are fixed by another solution thought up by ignorance and attachment.
Yes.
Right.
And the more understanding there is of dharmas, the less thought there is of dealing with the conventional world or with anything else, because no matter what we call it, there are just still those dhammas arising and falling away. What is seen is always just visible object, no matter what the rest of the world might think. So it's not a matter of dealing with something different, because it's just visible object that's seen, nothing to be done at all.
Yes, it's just the solution is not to have ignorance of realities. Yeah, I can see that. The more understanding of reality, the less problems. And
the less thought of trying to find solutions or do anything, because there is more and more understanding that each dharma is conditioned and anatta, nothing to be done at all.
Yeah, I understand that. Thank you.
At the same time, as Ajahn just reminded us, it's hidden because of lack of understanding. The reality is hidden. So, yeah. So that's to be expected. That little understanding arise, and mostly it's just ignorance.
Yes, it's accumulation, so there's no choice.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've got to go now. Thank you. I will see you next week. Thank you.
See you next time, Alan. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Nina or Jyotika or anyone else, do you have anything you'd like to bring up or any question?
Jyotika knows this. We had a Dutch evening and the subject was death. And people only talked about stories about their relatives and their dear ones that they lose and their feelings. And it was so difficult to bring them, to help them to see the real meaning of death each moment and bring them back to reality. It can be, like Alan said, it is against the stream of common thought.
Yeah, a good example, Nina, when people their concern about death is just those aspects you mentioned and not interested in the reality of death, which is just another moment of consciousness.
Yes, and then how can we help? We cannot always help. We try.
I think, like Ajahn said, each has their own interests, so it depends whether anyone is interested to hear more about the reality now, what appears now. If they just want to talk about the different stories and are not interested to hear more about the reality, then one can just be the understanding friend.
Yes.
One can change their
best. Yeah. And it was last time about pain. Ajahn asked, where is it? And there was no more time to go into it. But I remember Ajahn asked before, where are you? And then she explains, nowhere, no place. And it is the same for painful feeling. But it is really difficult because painful feeling can be so acute. And we think immediately, my arm is so painful and it hurts. But it is only thinking. And like Ajahn said, it is nowhere. And in that connection, she said at another talk, there is no Vietnam and no Thailand.
Pain is real, Nina.
What is it?
I said the pain is real.
Real, yeah.
But the idea of a place is just thinking.
That's right, yeah. But we cannot help and we cannot separate that. My arm hurts. So
like Sujin said, even for us, there are long stories all the time, not just for those who have no interest in understanding realities, usually for moments of painful feeling. and then long story about my arm hurting and so on. So that's daily life. So that's why there can be more understanding and more compassion for others who also get lost in their long stories too.
Yeah. And then I found it also helpful last time. Ajahn stressed a lot about the uselessness of dhammas. What is the use of being born again and again and have the same experiences of seeing and hearing? And then in the evening, everything is lost. And then we wake up again and it starts again. She stressed that very much. I found that a good reminder because usually I don't think of the uselessness of life.
Can I ask a question? Sarah, like Nina just told that if there's pain in the arm and there's story thinking about, oh, my arm pain. But what the Satipatthana, Kaya no Satipatthana, I'm not sure what that is. Can you maybe perhaps if...
Usually we always think of a body and an arm and take it for my body, my arm. But actually what is experienced is just rupa, the hardness or the heat. And the unpleasant feeling, the painful feeling is just a moment of experiencing, a moment of unpleasant feeling. And so what is taken for the body that is so important to us are just these different rupas, the different primary rupas and derived rupas that are dependent on them. But there's so many moments of experience and so many moments of memory and thinking about them that so quickly there are the ideas of my arm, my body, my painful feeling that's lasted a long time. So the Buddha showed us that what we find so important, my body, is just a fantasy because there is no body. There are just different namas and rupas, these different rupas that are taken for my body or the other's body. So this is why he taught about the development of understanding of any reality appears, including those rupas taken for the body or the different feelings taken for my pain, my arm, and so on. Let's see if Ajahn would like to add more to any of Nina's points or any of these points.
At the moment of thinking of my arm's pain, there is no understanding of pain, right? Because there is the idea of my arms. That's why do we listen to the teachings of the Buddha? To understand all realities, no matter when and where, in any situation. About the truth of it, the absolute truth is any reality is there, but it's not known as it is. It's not only a reality, but it's something. That's why at moment when pain is there, how can there be the moment of understanding pain without awareness? And how come for awareness to arise without understanding? Impossible. But it's time ready to condition awareness just to arise and be aware of pain. At that moment, there is no idea of my arms or my legs, but only understanding that characteristic which is pain, little by little, to know that at moment when it's there, no one is there at all. Otherwise, there must be the idea of somewhere and something all the time. That's why we cannot stop thinking of it at that moment as my arm's pain, but actually pain itself is not the arm or anything at all. It's not hardness, it's not softness, but it's just a reality which is conditioned to arise and then fall away. But the truth is not known yet until panya, right understanding, letting go the idea of self at that moment, not arm, no leg, but only pain is there. And then it begin to understand that pain is there, but how much understanding of pain is there. See, there can be doubt whether it's that nama or rupa and so on. That it's not the strong understanding with direct awareness yet, because it has to arise with understanding as anatta, so anatta, that panya, how much is there to understand pain as only pain. But when there is the idea of my arms, pain, there is no understanding of pain because of the idea of my arm is there. That's why one begin to understand the characteristic of direct awareness with understanding, or just thinking about with sati as it's not me, only that, but it's not thinking, but it has to be the moment of understanding pain, and then there's no doubt about the characteristic of direct awareness at that moment, because it is aware of pain only, not my pain, see. And by then, when it appears at that moment, no idea of where and when at all, or what, because it's there, no name for it. That is the moment of beginning to understanding pain as pain from intellectual understanding. Otherwise, there's no condition for direct awareness and direct understanding of that reality, which is pain. So anything now can be object of understanding at different levels, can be thinking about it, as before we are talking about it, no idea or thought about it at all. But when there is time to talk about it, there can be moment of understanding what is appearing in words, and then it can condition the moment of direct understanding of that which is now appear, which hasn't been the object of awareness yet, little by little, until there's no doubt about the direct awareness as sammasati. And when you talk about Kayanupassana Satipatthana, what is it? It's not understanding pain, because you talk about the body, the rupa. That's why there must be very direct understanding of each as different one. At moment of pain, it's not Kayanupassana Satipatthana, because pain cannot be the body. So it's just not thinking in words about what's said or what's said, but the reality there, pain is pain, not the body. So when there is moment of studying with direct awareness, little by little, it is Vedananupassana Satipatthana, not Kayanupassana Satipatthana, but it does mean that you can change it, you can try to have it, but to understand that moment, when you come to the term Vedananupassana Satipatthana, you know what does it mean, and when you come to Kayanupassana Satipatthana, you know what does it mean. Because at moment of understanding Vedana, the feeling at that moment, it's not your arm, it's not anything, it's only feeling as feeling, no one there. And if someone say that it is Kayanupassana, it's wrong, because at moment of understanding feeling, how can it be body? So it's not just understand the word, but understand Vedana, and we use what word for that feeling. We use the term Vedana, only that, only the word, but you cannot change the characteristic of feeling to be the body.
But there is a connection with the body, when the feeling with the body. I have a lot of pain in the body, but I went with sati to it, and I have no pain anymore.
What about the feeling now? What kind of feeling? Is there any feeling now?
No, it's not painful feeling, but I have difficulties to understand neutral feeling.
Neutral feeling is there, but it is also anatta. Sati is anatta. Panya is anatta. Everything is anatta. No one can make it arise. When it's not there, how can Panya understand it? But only when it's there, from hearing, listening, intellectual understanding can condition moment of study, that which is the object, no matter it is hardness or softness. And later, when we come to the term Kayanupassana Satipatthana, there can be the understanding instantly at moment of studying and understanding that which is there, which we used to take it for body. But what is the truth? Is there any body or hardness only? No shape, no form. At that moment when it appears, only hardness appears. No arm, no leg. This is the way to reduce or to let go the idea of thing, arm and leg and the body, the whole body. Because actually, without hardness, there cannot be the body. But the absolute truth of what we take for body is hardness. So hardness is conditioned to be hard by conditions, karma, citta, or whatever. To learn to understand the characteristic as it is, hardness as only hardness, softness, sweetness, everything is there to be object of understanding of its truth. It's there only when it appears. After that, no more, never to be found in samsara, only once in samsara. Life is just very temporary, so short, very brief, only a moment, different all the time. And Panya can realize or experience it as it is. Otherwise, there cannot be any moment to let go the idea of self, little by little, gradually, until the end, no more at all. Absolutely eradicated. But it has to come from one moment of understanding, which will build up at the moment of strong confidence of the truth. Because touching now, hardness cannot be anything else. It's only that which appears, while the other object does not appear, just at a time, but not enough understanding. So it keeps on thinking about something all the time, until there's no thought about it as things, or people, or me, or my body, because it's just hardness. It takes quite a long time to be used to the real characteristic of hardness as just hardness, but it is the absolute truth, because even hardness appears and then gone as soon as it's not there. But sanya marks and remember wrongly all the time, because not experiencing the arising and falling away directly. So it's there until reality appears well to Panya, which understands. How to know whether it appears well or not? It's moment of Panya, understanding or not. How much? Little by little, until it let go doubt about it, and there can be direct awareness more. When there is the understanding, what moment is direct awareness with understanding only, not just without understanding. But the understanding is so very weak because of ignorance and wrong understanding has been accumulated so long, eons and eons. So it can be clear at the beginning, but later it's a little bit clearer and clearer to be truthful how much by one's own moment of experiencing that very moment. And this is the way to understand the great wisdom of the Buddha, who showed the path leading to the eradication of ignorance. So it has to be understanding what is appearing now, little by little, until more and more confidence of the truth. For example, there is hardness now at moment of touching, but there is seeing and thinking, different moments, but they arise and fall away so very rapidly in split seconds. Impossible to experience just one characteristic in a moment, because so very short by way of processes of experiencing objects through different doorways, one after one, all the time. That's why learning about the truth, to have confidence that what is now appearing can be object of direct understanding, when there is more understanding, no expectation. That is the letting go, the idea of self, which clings very much to everything. Beginning to see attachment to whatever is there in the day, all the time. So at moment of kusala understanding, wrong understanding cannot be there at that very moment. So when there is more understanding, there would be less ignorance and wrong understanding of self, little by little.
Is it also attachment when you have desire
Yes.
for knowing the truth?
Mm-hmm. Before it can be known, one is enslaved by the great master, Lopa. Even open one's eyes, moving one's hair, thinking about this and that, usually in there by Lopa, the master, or dear friend, enemy. Dear enemy, not a friend at all. And this is through more confidence of whatever is now appearing is conditioned, and then no more, never to arise again. And life is just like this, only this, from life to life, from moment to moment. Next life, exactly, seeing, hearing, liking, tasting, enjoying oneself and so on, and then no more. What was there yesterday? What did you do yesterday? When it was yesterday, it seems like you are doing something like now, at this moment. See, I'm speaking, but tomorrow, where's I, who was speaking, gone completely? Before tomorrow, it is like this. Before it can be tomorrow. Another I, not I now, see? Always follow what is there all the time with ignorance. That's why it does not appear as it is, but it will appear as it is to right understanding. Only. Stage by stage. Unexpectedly, because now sankhara, khanda, cetasikas, and panya are performing the function. Not I who is aware, not I who understand. They are all different realities, one at a time. Arising together, falling away together. I listen to the voice or the story. Just a moment ago, it's gone. So the I who was listening was gone. And this is new I. When there is another hearing, seeing or thinking. But actually, when they are gone, how can there be I? But when there is seeing, there is the idea of I again. Hearing, I again. But when there is no hearing, where's the I who hears? Gone with hearing. And this is true Ariya Satya, the Four Noble Truths. The first truth has to be directly experienced. And the Lopa, the great master, should be known as their enemy. Otherwise, we think that is their friend. But it's not anyone who can solve it, but Panya understand it and let go the idea of self, I, thing, because it can be dissolved or separated into just a very, very tiny atom, unit, unseen when it's there. Only when they are all together, many, many kalapas, then there is something by nimitta, because only one reality is so short and it's gone completely. How can it be just one to be known? But it does not stop only that. It continue on by condition. So there is the nimitta of a characteristic of whatever is now appearing. No matter it's seeing, not just one moment, many, many moments, and that which is seen are collected as something with different colors and different form and shape, different idea of something is always there, but actually it can be dissolved, separated, until no one there, no thing there. And that is the absolute truth. And it can be a moment of direct experience, the enlightenment, when Panya is strong enough, letting go more and more. So reality can appear because no attachment covers up. For example, right now, there is a reality appearing, but it's gone, and the other follow instantly, all the time. How can there be no thought about shape and form from the arising and falling away so very rapidly as different color, to be eyebrow, to be ear, to be hair, see? So very, very quickly, unexpectedly, beyond imagination. So Panya has to be so great enough, beyond expectation, to really penetrate the truth as Buddha taught, as he had enlightened, and he taught the other to understand it little by little, to open up, to reveal the truth of the arising and falling away. One day, we don't know how long, but that is the way to let go, depend on conditions. I cannot do anything because there is no I. All depends on conditions. And when it's there unexpectedly, as Buddha said, as anyone who enlightened experienced, not as it is, because this is a world of concepts, things around by the rapidity of the arising and falling away of different realities, not only one. So many, many realities unknown. That's why it conditioned the idea of something or some people or I all the time from birth. That's why listening to understand and the understanding itself, let go. No one can do the function of Panya. It understands, so it does not cling to that which is gone. Right now, many, many moments gone, and many moments of self gone together unknowingly, because actually there's no one and no thing. And understanding develops now. No one develops understanding. From moment to moment of understanding, it develops by conditions of a little more understanding. From the first moment of hearing, and then again and again, from day to day, from week to week, the understanding develops. To have more confidence of the truth that it's now which hasn't been penetrated to understand its truth, that just very fast and then gone. Otherwise, there must be clinging all the time. But when it's there appearing as it is, how can there be clinging to that which is not there anymore? But this is only words, so it's not effective as when it appears as it is. But when it's time to experience, just like we are talking about, at that moment, how strong Panya is there, understanding by directly experiencing, direct experience, direct understanding of that. No word, like looking at something is there. No word to say black or white, long or short at all, because it's there to be known. Each reality as Buddha had experienced and taught. Just for understanding.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
That's why we can understand the parami, perfection, without virya, without satya, without khanti, without nekama. There cannot be condition for understanding what is there now. But as it is now, it can be understood from hearing the truth little by little, that it cannot be taken for anything at all. And what is truth? We live in the world of light, of things appearing, seen, or the world of darkness. Only one doorway. How short it is when it appears. Otherwise, there must be clinging to the sign of seeing, that is seeing something. See? But when it's as short as seeing and hearing, whatever is so short, cannot be taken for anything at all. No wrong understanding about that. That it is such, it appears, experienced directly by understanding intellectually to be moment of direct awareness, develop on and on, letting go little by little, with patience, khanti and viriya and satya and nekama. See? So each word of the Buddha brings about the understanding of letting go the idea of self at the end. No other way. So one can see that even just a short moment of kusala is so very precious because we live among akusala. From moment to moment, after seeing, ignorance there, avijjasava, hearing, 3 moments, after hearing, avijjasava again, and tittasava, and when it's the sensuous object, the accumulation of clinging to sensuous object is there instantly, by conditions. No one can stop the way it is. And this is life, anatta. That's why I learn to understand anatta, which means letting go, atta. Because understanding of the anattaness of whatever is now appearing, no more. When it's panya, it can understand the moment when it arises and falls away. So how can there be clinging to that which is not there anymore as something? But akusala has been accumulated so quite a long time. So at the first level of enlightenment, it eradicates only wrong understanding and ignorance and attachment which arises with wrong understanding. No doubt, because doubt is completely eradicated. How can there be doubt anymore when it is direct understanding with direct awareness of the degree it can experience the arising and falling away of unreality, animitta of unreality? That's why those who have experienced the truth have more confidence of the teaching of the Buddha, of the Sangha, than those who haven't experienced the truth. How can anyone imagine the truth when it appears different from things and people and anything at all? So the understanding of anattaness of that reality is there, but not enough. It has to go on and on and on, because panya understands that that is not enough to eradicate akusala, because there are so many different kinds of akusala. But the great one which has to be eradicated firstly is wrong understanding and attachment to wrong understanding and ignorance with understanding only. But other kilesa cannot be completely eradicated because it's just the first stage of enlightenment. But clinging is there. But the wrong understanding, taking clinging as my clinging, no more at all, completely gone. But clinging still arises by conditions to be known as it's still there. That's why the other stages experience the truth, eradicate the gross attachment to the sensuous object. And then that's not enough. It has to be completely eradicated by the third stage of enlightenment. But still, even there is no attachment to sensuous object, but there is attachment to the bhava, existent being, see, until Panya develops on, until it experiences the last stage, that all defilement are completely no more. Arahata, the one who has no asava, keen asava. And many people have developed and attained the truth, becoming all stages of Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahata by conditions, by parami. Without parami, it's time for akusala, wrong understanding, clinging on and on. So the truth is covered up because of ignorance and attachment. That's why not understanding when is lopa. If lopa is not seen as object, how can it be the object with panya to eradicate wrong understanding from lopa as I or me? And this is the task for the Buddhist, to study the teachings, to develop panya, to experience the truth. Because Buddha, the word Buddha means understanding, opposite of ignorance. But understanding cannot just arise out of the blue. There must be conditions. Listen carefully, respectfully to the words of understanding, of truth. Like no one, nothing. Even at this moment that is seeing, it's still I see because of asava, bhavasava, but from hearing again and again and again. That's why the Buddha taught for 45 years to bring about the understanding of Dhamma is now, so close. It's not far away at all, but it is not the object of interest and awareness yet, as long as panya is not great enough to know what moment is direct awareness with understanding, or what moment is just thinking about, considering about, as to be conditioned for direct awareness without expectation when will it arise. By conditions, more and more confidence of anatta, letting go, even now, just to understand. And panya knows how much understanding is there, of what degree. And it can be direct awareness and direct understanding, satipatthana, even right now, but by conditions. And what follows, it can be attachment, lopa again, and it can be object of understanding of that as not I, depending on how much conditions to understand that as it is, at what stage. So life is just normally, as usual, daily, because each moment is conditioned. So many conditions. The main 24 conditions, the main conditions, but there are more than that. But at this moment, there can be the understanding of conditions. For example, seeing is there. Without the eye base, without that which impinges on it, like while one is fast asleep, no seeing, no condition for seeing to arise, even there is eye base arising and falling all the time by kamma. Some rupa is conditioned by kamma, some rupa is conditioned by uttu, some are conditioned by ahara, and some is conditioned by citta. No one at all, depending on citta. Each moment of moving the hands, it is citta rupa, because if there is no wishing or wanting to stretch one's arms, there cannot be that reality. So the citta we would like to do something, condition the rupa to do such and such, because citta itself cannot do anything like eating or walking. And the rupa cannot walk without citta, see, interdependent all the time. Just to understand the truth. And when there is understanding, there is no regret at all. Moment of kusalas are not the moment of regretting. So very fine, very deep, very subtle, but they are all in a day, each moment, from moment to moment. Realities, different moment, all gone. Before there can be tomorrow, no more I speaking right now. But even right now, each moment is gone. Actually, no one. No I at all. Panya knows what's right and what's wrong, what's kusala or what is akusala, what is the path leading to understanding the object now, what is appearing now. See, only Panya can understand from hearing, considering, understanding. And Panya now develops until tomorrow and on, little by little. More understanding, more letting go, little by little.
And all gone. That was Nina's point. That's why each one is so useless, because each reality is anatta, not in anyone's control. Gone instantly. So very useless. And I was just going to add a little bit more about painful feeling and Jyotika's comments, because I think there are many common misunderstandings about painful and pleasant bodily feeling. So first of all, whatever kind of feeling it is, whatever Vedana it is, it's a nama, it's not a rupa. It's a reality that arises with the citta and experiences the same object as the citta. So at any moment in life, Vedana has to arise. There has to be pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral feeling, experiencing the same object as the citta. So when we talk about painful feeling, it's the Vedana that arises with the citta, which experiences a rupa, bodily experiencing, the moment of touching now. It touches a rupa, and the feeling with that moment of body consciousness has to be either pleasant or unpleasant. When it's unpleasant, it can be very unpleasant or just a little unpleasant. And the object that is experienced has to be either hardness or softness, or temperature, heat or cold, or motion. And that painful feeling with that moment of bodily experience just arises for an instant, experiencing the rupa, and then gone completely. Just one moment only in the series of cittas that experience the rupa through the body door. But afterwards, through the mind door, there may be countless moments of thinking about painful feeling, or thinking about the object experienced, taking it for my experience, my pain, when actually it was just a moment of experiencing and then gone instantly, not my feeling. So any Vedana, no matter pleasant bodily feeling, painful bodily feeling, or any other feeling, it's just a nama that arises for a moment, not belonging to anyone, and then gone instantly. Usually the problems in life are the thinking and dwelling on the experience, taking it for my pleasant feeling, my painful feeling, and it seems to last a long time, but actually it's just a moment. There was one time when I was very young and I was staying with Ajahn in Thailand, and I had a cold or flu and was feeling quite sorry for myself. And she reminded me that the painful bodily feeling was just a moment, but all the thinking and the dosa was what caused all the trouble, that made it seem so sorrowful, because just the moment of unpleasant feeling is so very brief, but the aversion and the unpleasant mental feeling, dwelling on it, thinking about the story of my pain yesterday or my pain 5 minutes ago, is what causes the really serious problem. So that was why Ajahn said, is there painful feeling now? Because the painful feeling a moment ago or yesterday or last year has completely gone away. And it's the thinking and the dwelling on the story about my painful arm, my painful body, that is the problem at this moment. So it's important to understand the clear distinction between the namas, those realities which can experience an object, including Vedana, and those realities that are experienced but cannot experience anything at all, the rupas, such as the hardness or the softness. So if we're talking about Kayanupasana, it's just referring to the different rupas that are taken for a body or a something. But if we're talking about Vedanupasana, it's referring to the namas, different pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feelings that arise with the citta for an instant and are then gone. Nothing lasts at all. So very useless. I think you were going to add something too, Nina.
Yeah. While Nina's coming in, I'll just add a couple of words, because Jyotika mentioned that there had been awareness of the pain as a result of which, or associated with the pain, that the pain then disappeared or there was no pain. And I'd just like to mention that the awareness of the development of awareness and understanding spoken of by the Buddha Satipatthana is different from focusing on or concentrating on something and having the effect that it disappears. Because pain, as we've been discussing, arises because of its own conditions, just like the visible object that is seen and the experiencing of sound through the ear door, hearing pleasant or unpleasant sound, seeing pleasant or unpleasant visible object, experiencing pleasant or painful bodily experience, are conditioned, among other things, by karma. And when there's awareness, for example, of visible object, the visible object doesn't disappear because it is conditioned by its own conditions. And awareness and understanding arising does not have any effect on the arising and the experiencing of the visible object at that moment. And so it is with painful bodily feeling. It's just an understanding of the nature of the bodily feeling or the object, the hardness or the temperature at that moment. Nothing to do with having more or less. And the other day we had a similar question about anger, for example, and awareness as a means of having less anger is similarly misconceived because these things arise by their own conditions.
And usually when there's the idea of being aware of anger or being aware of painful feeling, because these are the things that are unpleasant, one would like to get rid of, it's the opposite of letting go and understanding with detachment whatever appears now. Behind it is the idea that I would like to have less anger, or I would like to have less painful, so I will try to be aware of them. But the point of the teachings is development of understanding that whatever appears is by conditions, not by my will, and whatever it is does not belong to me. It's not self at all. So this is the way that gradually, through the development of understanding, there can be the letting go of trying to be aware or trying to understand a particular reality. The unseen attachment is there, as was mentioned.
So everything is about understanding.
It all comes back to the understanding, because without any understanding, for sure it will be the idea of my pain, my arm, I trying to focus or be aware. So it's only the understanding of different realities, the namas and the rupas, it's different realities as not self, that there can be the letting go of clinging to myself, my body, my awareness. So it has to be the very gradual development of understanding, and awareness develops with the understanding. Confidence, saddha, develops with understanding. Patience develops with understanding. But without any understanding, none of these wholesome factors can develop at all, because they will all be taken for mine, and everything will be mixed up together, like my body or my pain in the body, this kind of idea. And the very first thing is the understanding from the start about those realities which are namas and those realities which are rupas, because without the understanding of the distinction between the namas, such as the chitta and the vedana at this moment, and the rupas, such as the hardness and the visible object, there will definitely be the idea of my experience, my painful feeling. So that's why Ajahn stresses all the time about understanding, and why the Buddha did too. All the Buddha's teachings are about the development of understanding. Awareness cannot develop without it.
Yes.
And the Buddha himself experienced painful bodily feeling. That's mentioned in the suttas. And of course, he had developed awareness and understanding to the highest levels. But because painful bodily feeling is conditioned by, among other things, past deeds, there's nothing that can be done about it in the sense that we would like to think of. But of course, although the Buddha did have painful bodily feeling, he didn't have aversion to it, because no more conditions for dislike.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that, like now, it's difficult to understand or know neutral feeling. And it's true, because it's not so obvious, but it doesn't matter. So it's not a matter of trying to be aware or trying to know neutral feeling or some other realities which aren't so evident, because that would be the idea of I trying to be aware or catch it again. So
Yes,
the path is the opposite of trying to be aware or trying to catch a reality. So it's just understanding, let it develop by itself naturally, not I trying to do anything. So this is why it's such a relief, and like the removal of a big backpack full of rocks on one's back, because nothing that has to be done, and the understanding always comes back to this moment. What happened yesterday, the pain yesterday, the difficulties or disturbances, all gone. what about now? Because life is just at this very moment. And as Jan said, there can be direct understanding right now if the conditions are right. Anyway, thanks. Very nice to hear from you, Jyotika, to hear your points.
For me, it was very scary in the Western non-self to let go of the idea of a soul.
Of course.
Yeah.
The clinging is so deep-rooted. The clinging
I come from a Christian background.
Yes.
And this idea you are not allowed to think, you should not, you cannot think about it. So let's say that you talk about it, or that you say there is no identity, independent identity, like a soul or God.
But still we can see that the accumulations, the chanda, the interest to really understand the truth must be there. Otherwise we wouldn't be having this discussion now. So no matter what wrong views have been accumulated for so many lifetimes, not just this lifetime, for everyone, still there has to be the interest to really understand what is true and what can be directly understood at this moment.
But that is what I feel. There is the feeling of that I cannot. That is a hunger for truth.
Exactly.
Yes. And the important thing is, as you mentioned, it's all about understanding. So it's understanding what is appearing now. And it doesn't matter that we still have an idea of a self or a soul, because that's an accumulated tendency. So many of us come from a Christian background. We should not think that we have to stop thinking about idea of self or soul. That is not the development of understanding of what is appearing at the present moment. But it's about seeing the true nature of the present moment.
And it's the same even for those who haven't come from Christian backgrounds, even those who grew up in a Buddhist country, still it's exactly the same wrong view, still the same idea of someone, something, just a different label, a different name, but exactly the same difficulty and the same scariness, giving up the idea of self. So exactly the same issues and difficulties for anyone, no matter where they are or what the background. It's such a difficult path, the development of understanding, because it is the relinquishing of the wrong view of self, step by step.
Yes. Yes.
Jyotika, although
it's very
it would seem
very intensive.
Jyotika, I don't know if it's what your feeling about this is, but I'm thinking that in the case of a soul, there's this particular attachment to the idea that the soul is inherently good. So it seems that it must be harder to accept that there's no soul, since you think that like Buddha nature in the case of some Buddhists who believe that inside we are all very pure and good. So I think it's a bit harder than say believing that there are no things, no people. This idea of soul is difficult.
No, but the soul is also eternal. That and it is direct connected with God, with the idea of God.
Yeah. And there's a lot of ideas about being eternal and interconnected with other people, and that supposedly is a good thing. So it's harder to accept, because what's bad, everyone accepts that it's bad, but what seems good but is actually not good, that's a little hard.
that is not the right view. I think in Buddhist terms, it is wrong view.
I mean, in the end, it's all comes from self-view of this.
Self-view, yeah, from self-view. Yeah. Thank you very much for now.
And the more understanding there is about the realities, like it's just hardness that's touched now. How can it last for a moment? Because that hardness is touched and then gone instantly. What is seen, the visible object, is gone instantly. So it cannot last even an instant. So whatever one takes as being eternal is just an idea or a fantasy, because when there is the understanding of different realities, it becomes more obvious that each one is gone immediately.
Ajahn stresses very often the perfections and the many kinds of perfections. Without perfections, it's impossible to know the truth. So maybe Ajahn can elaborate a little more. It's helpful.
Is it easy to understand now as no one?
Not easy at all.
Yes, it needs khanti, patience, very great patience to listen, considering on and on and on and on, until there's more confidence of even touching now. It can be direct understanding of that, as we have heard. No one, there's no attention to other things as things, people at all, because hardness begins to appear well. And it means that at that moment there is direct awareness, because there is a little understanding of that from hearing on and on and on, until it can condition moment of understanding, the moment of what is there as hardness or whatever, taste and so on. See, it's different from just talking about experiencing taste, because we understand that at moment of eating, there must be taste appearing. No understanding, no thinking about it at all. Just enjoy having that taste. But for some moment, when there are right moment, right condition for understanding just to arise and understand, it means that at that moment there is direct awareness of that object, so that Panya can understand with Chanda and other Jitasikas together. See, condition that moment of begin to even thinking about or experiencing it without thinking of that reality as only one reality there. See, it begins to be separated from the other realities which follows instantly, most of the time or all the time, like now. See, not just seeing, there is hearing and thinking and touching together, but at moment of understanding that which is only that, begin to understand only that, just that, as it's a reality. No thought about table, no thought about finger, no thought about anything at all. It begins to understand that, and that becomes well, appearing well, little by little, until it appears as it is, the moment of the arising and falling away. By then, no doubt about the truth of each reality which is now appearing, that it is just the same, arising and falling away, but just the moment of vipassana jnana, so very short, it's not enough, because it's not all there yet. That's why there are still wrong understanding with attachment to the idea of self, until that moment arises, different from other moment, direct understanding, and so at that moment it is because of direct awareness arise together, so it doesn't go away, turn away from that object, but it's there as one object, beginning to understand the moment sammasati and no sati, see, alternately, by conditions, that is khanti parami, with virya parami, with satya parami, with nekama parami, see, to let go the idea of self. Cannot do anything, just understand when it's there, as much as the conditions condition that moment for how much understanding. It's not the matter of sammasati only, but it's a matter of panya, how much to understand and let go the idea of self. If the object does not appear well enough, there cannot be moment of letting go more at all. It's just like become used, acquainted to the reality which is unknown for quite long time, eons and eons. Even it's there now. Seeing it's there now. Hearing, thinking, touching, hardness, all are now, but no attention, no awareness of it. Only the words of Buddha, the understanding that it's not far away from that which is now, can condition moment of understanding, little by little, until it is direct awareness. Why do we say it's direct awareness and direct understanding? Because it is aware of a reality, only one reality, and understanding begins to know that there is no thing in it at moment of only it which appears. Letting go, little by little, that life is just like that. Only that. No I. It has to be just like that, from moment to moment in life, in samsara, non-stop at all. When there are still conditions for whatever to arise, it has to arise. Cannot be changed as it's conditioned. This is the way to let go, very subtle, unseen. It's not just rushed to try so hard. It's impossible, not enough understanding. So how can the reality appear well? No understanding, so how can it be just a reality? But when there is more and more understanding, it's only that. Uncontrollable. Not long, so short, but it's seen directly. We cannot say that it doesn't appear well because it has been there to panya of that degree with direct awareness. And there can be the understanding that actually there is no other way at all. It's the way of the development of panya only. Without panya, nothing can let go. What appears now? It's gone. See, we know that it's gone, but as it does not appear directly, clearly, as vipassana jnana yet. So how can there be letting go more and more? This is only letting go wrong understanding from reading, hearing, considering. But when it's the direct awareness with direct understanding is there, it's more stronger and stronger, sharper and sharper. No doubt, little by little, about that which appears. No thinking about that, or even there is thinking about that. Panya knows what is there as thinking, not I think. But you see that they're clinging to the five khandhas. What about feeling? It's now, but it does not appear as object yet. No one can try to have it as object. Impossible. That is the wrong way, the idea of ignorance and self trying so hard. But when it's there is more confidence of the understanding of conditions and no one and no self, because it's just there by conditions. So just live as usual and more understanding. That's all. Because understanding itself develops from considering and seeing the value, the precious moment of understanding. And whatever is there as kusala, so useful, because at that moment there's no ignorance and no clinging to the idea of self. when it's panya without the idea of self, it's more natural. Not thinking about what will be, but what about that which appears now. Only the idea that it's just arise and falls away is not enough, as long as it's not direct moment of direct understanding, the arising and falling away. And how can it appear when there is attachment to whatever is there as usual? How can there be the moment of understanding, the falling away of that which is now appearing? But when there's less attachment to that which follow, because of understanding that that which is now appearing arises and falls away, but it's not direct experience yet. But it can be when there's less attachment to the next reality which follows. But as long as there is still attachment, there must be attention to that which follows instead of attention to that which appears and falls away. That's why Panya has to understand lopa, attachment, otherwise it cannot be eliminated and finally eradicated. At level of arahata, see, so many degrees of attachment or lopa, but it has to be seen with wrong understanding because of attachment to wrong understanding. So at moment of wrong understanding, there is also attachment. Lopa is there too. So one can understand that ignorance and attachment usually goes together. Because of ignorance, there is attachment all the time, because there are ignorances of many, many moments, many, many realities in a day. We can almost say that each moment, at moment of seeing, hearing. Yes, please. Okay.
You said attachment to that which follows. I know I asked this before, but it is still not quite clear what you mean by which follows.
Okay. Is seeing now falls, arises and falls away? Seeing right now?
Yes,
yes.
yes.
Fall away.
I know what is hearing only.
But no understanding, so there is attachment to what which follows instantly, all the time, until there's more understanding of reality and the understanding letting go to follow the other moments, but attend to that which is now appearing. It is aware, but there must be right understanding. Because awareness without right understanding can be at moment of kusala without understanding. But when there is the understanding of that which is now appearing, it doesn't need only direct awareness, but it needs understanding. Because sati can arise with any moment of kusala, but panya does not arise with sati all the time. Only when it's there, there must be sati. So when there is the understanding of our reality right now, like hardness now, see, it means that there is direct awareness of that object. So panya can understand that object as only hardness. But when there is no direct awareness, it's only thinking about hardness is not self, it's only hard. But at moment of touching, see, it depends. It can be this moment or any moment. Talking, walking, taking a bath, eating, or any time. There are different realities, not at will. Whatever is there is by conditions only. Even right understanding is there with right awareness. Direct awareness is there by conditions. So to understand the nothingness of a reality does not mean that it can condition more attachment. But it can, when it's real right understanding, it can condition less attachment, not more attachment. When it's wrong, it's more attachment. It's very, very subtle and very crafty for lopa. It can lure, it can lead to the wrong direction instantly with attachment, with the idea of self. Just want to experience it. Is that not self? Who wants? The I is there unknowingly. So Panya can understand realities as they are. Very subtle. That's why we have to understand the subtlety, the profoundness of realities. If we do not understand this, that is so subtle, we take it so very easily. Just sit and try to be aware. But it's not awareness at all. And what it said is not known. But Buddha taught about what are there at that very moment. Usually it is samadhi or ekakata cetasika, which can arise with any moment. Akusala or seeing moment, it's there. So it's different from moment when it arises with kusala and panya. It's there for panya to understand it better when it's one pointedness with sati and hiri and ottappa and chanda and all bodhipaggiya dhamma. Each word will lead to the understanding of the fourth noble truth. This is the only way. Without understanding, it's impossible to understand that which is now appearing as no thing, no one in it. That's why from the very beginning, hearing about the truth, it is that which can be seen. And when we carefully consider it, it is only that which can be seen. So how can it be a table? Only that which can impinge on the eye base. And how little it is in a kalapa, which arises and hasn't fallen away yet, impinge on that. So what is that which appears not as thing, not as big, but so very little, very tiny too, the same to all other sense door, hardness, many kalapas, and the kalapas, which is one kalapa which is touched and the other kalapa follow instantly. So many kalapas. Otherwise, why did Buddha taught about how long it lasts, one rupa, see? To see that as long as it's there, it can be conditioned for other citta at the moment after seeing to be. Sampatichana, Santirana, Bodhapana, and Chavana in an instant, see? Before it can be anything. So what is true? It appears as things around, many things, or just only very little at a time. So very rapidly that it seems like it's there all the time with different image. As something when it's there with sign and image of table, of chair, of bed, of smartphone, of everything. So many kalapa. If it's not touched, the sense object, how can it appear? So what is there? As something, how many moments of touching, of seeing? Uncountable. But Panya can begin to let go the clinging to what is there after seeing. It is thinking, for sure, But who knows that at this moment there is also seeing and thinking and other moments in between as well. But from hearing, there's no one who can change the way it is. It is like it is, but it does not appear as it is yet. It appears as something, the magic world, the dream world of people and things, just like in a dream. When one wakes up, no more. So when Panya understands, no more. It's just like a dream, thinking that everything is like table and thing all the time. My dear one, my friend, my possessions, and so on. But actually, it's only moment of citta which thinks about that. So the question is, do you have arms, legs? See, this is a test. Not just the answer, but the understanding, how clear it is. When we say that, oh, no arm, no leg, see, only the answer from thinking, but not from directly experiencing. Actually, no one there at all, only the reality which can be the object of that moment, seeing, touching, or whatever it is. This is so true in life each moment. So understanding is to penetrate the truth at level of pariyatti. That's why there are 3 rounds of Ariya Satya. It's not just hearing, but it's the Panya Satyayana of the first truth of the Ariya Satya. And the Patipatti about the 4 Ariya Satya, and Pativeda of the 4 Ariya Satya. 12 rounds. Three of each of Ariya Satya. But in the beginning, without the understanding clear, because it does not appear as it is yet, we just have the idea of there is no I. The experiencing is the experiencing, like now, seeing sees. It experiences only that which is seen, only that which is seen, and which is seen, not a table. That which is seen, only that which impinges on the eyebase. So that's all in a moment. So many moments to form the image or the mark of what is seen as something, dream world about things. So can we say that one lives in a dream? Not wake up yet. And only Panya can wake one's up, can wake what we take for things as nothing anymore, little by little. That's why there must be the confidence of the first intellectual understanding or pariyatti to condition patipatti, to condition pativeda. Just about what is now appearing, not far away, and it's gone when it's not experienced. So there is no arm, no leg, no throat, no eye, no ear, only that which is heard when it's touched, no matter where and what. And when Panya is there, no place at all. Otherwise, there must be something like room or place all the time, or here or there. But actually, it's the moment of arising and falling away instantly. Otherwise, there cannot be letting go more and more and more, better and better, better, until it can be completely eradicated. It has to go so far, long way. But Panya develops from moment to moment up till then. No one can stop in the right conditions, like Sariputta met Ashishi. No idea that he would become a Sotapanna at all. But what about the unexpected right understanding when it's there, anatta, all the way? So no doubt about the anatta-ness of whatever is there now. By conditions, only that, and it does not last at all gone. We don't have to wait for tomorrow to understand that there is no more this moment. Only now it's gone from moment to moment until tomorrow, until on and on and on. In every life, not just only in this life. And this is true. What's born and what's die. Without citta, cetasika, rupa, realities, can there be anything born and die? And actually it is khanika marana, the momentary death. So there's no fear of death because it's there all the time, right now, exactly the same. No matter the moment of birth, no matter of death, no matter of seeing, hearing, all gone. Nothing is left from moment to moment. And this, when it's developed, can be the moment of letting go, at moment of directly experience, Pativeda, Vipassana Jnana. That's why there are different words for Panya. Not only intellectual understanding. And it develops now. To understand the truth is better than not understand at all and still cling with ignorance from life to life, endlessly. Exactly, no matter it's pleasant feeling or unpleasant feeling, they are gone now, see? No more, why cling? Ignorance is there. But understanding the way it is, actually, there's no I, no thing, no dear one, no possession, just citta, experiences an object, the chief of experiencing, arising with many cetasikas. They arise to perform their function, each different one, and then gone. Only that, what's the use of just arise, perform the functions, and then gone, never to return at all? But Panya can understand that, and letting go, wrong understanding, and clinging, which will bring about so many unpleasant moments, or even pleasant moments, in Deva plane, see, not understand the truth, that it does not last. No matter how long life is in heaven, each moment is just that, arising and falling away, and then not being and being in heaven anymore, depending on karma to be what? It can be a little ant, or an elephant, or tiger, or worms, anything can be like we see in this life. So many beings by conditions. And what about their past life in eons and eons ago? And as being a person, human being in this life, what about next life? Who knows? Depending on conditions. So this life, the precious moment is the moment of understanding the truth. And it will bring so very pleasant moment. No clinging to that anymore. To end up eons and eons life and eons in the future. To come to the end. Like any arahata But no one can force one to not cling to that which appears, because there is still ignorance. That's why to understand the truth depending on chanda and the parami, whether who can see the value, the precious of understanding the truth of what is there, little by little, because it can bring to the enlightenment the truth of no one and nothing. Because even right now, it's there when we listen to the truth by the teachings of the Buddha. And it's not yet direct understanding, but it can be. So how miraculous it is from ignorance to understand the truth, experience with pleasant feeling to understand the truth. Not be ignorant anymore, not cling to anymore, because cling to what? To that which is gone forever, all the time. How ignorance is there. Clinging to that which is no more after it's gone, from appearing and then gone. Is it useful to be such and such and such from life to life? They are all dhammas, they perform the function. Many realities arising with one moment of citta. It can be ignorance or it can be panya, right understanding. It can be lopa, clinging, or it can be alopa, no greed, no clinging. What is better? All depends on conditions. Wise considering or unwise considering. That's why there can be more metta, more compassion to those who do not understand the truth. Because actually there is no one, there are different dhammas, the cause and the result from moment to moment, endlessly. Otherwise, how can there be this person at moment of birth? It depends on conditions. And after death, there must be condition for citta cittasika to arise. Instantly, no gap in between, as different one. And what will be, no one knows, for next moment in life, in next life at all. So this life, the precious moment is understanding the truth, which can be accumulated on and on when there are right conditions, just like this life. Why the others are not interested in listening to the truth? They are different dhammas, no one at all, conditioned to be just like that. So we have more compassion, more kindness towards those who do not understand the truth. That's why they live in their own way, without understanding. That's why it conditioned the great dana is have the other hearing the truth and understand the truth. The best thing for the best friend to whoever have conditions to be interested in listening.
At the beginning,
yes, please.
And at the beginning, Nina, you mentioned about meeting your Dutch friends and to talk about Dhamma and how they were only interested in telling stories about death, but not in understanding this moment. But I think, as Ajahn said, maybe we can accept there is the conventional death. Everyone knows everyone has lost dear ones. Everyone has grieved and will continue to grieve. But the only real remedy to that grieving and to the strong clinging is the understanding right now, the understanding that it is the clinging, as Ajahn was mentioning, to that which is gone all the time. And when there is more understanding that each reality now, each moment of seeing and hearing dies instantly, is gone instantly, there can be a little more understanding that there is death at each moment, and different realities that arise and fall away are not someone, are not oneself. And this is the only way that gradually there can be the letting go of the clinging to the idea of my dear one who has passed away, or myself, what will happen to me in future. So it is the understanding of death at this moment that is the only way that problems can be solved.
Yes.
And then, of course, the third kind of death is the final death of the Arahat. But I think we can accept that everyone agrees there is conventional death as we know it, but gradually there has to be coming back to the understanding of death at this moment through the understanding of realities.
It's so helpful that Ajahn stresses all the time, it's gone, it's gone. It's very good to be reminded of that. Whatever happens in life, even now, it's gone already.
And one day it will become true.
And this is the only way that there can gradually be the letting go of the clinging to what's gone, or to the dear one, or my possessions, through the understanding that whatever arises is gone. And the point about there's always clinging to that which follows, because now there is seeing, but instantly thinking about what next, what can I experience next, or the feeling next. But actually now we have everything we ever wished for, the seeing at this moment, the hearing now, the different feelings at this moment. So it's the clinging that leads us astray all the time from just understanding with detachment that which appears right now.
You see, you said the clinging to what is next, but is that the thinking? As something.
Yes, thinking about what is seen now, taking it for something, or clinging to another reality, wanting to experience another visible object, another sound, another hardness.
That's right.
Always clinging to another object.
Another object, yeah, that's very clear. Yeah, another moment of seeing, another visible object.
Appearing.
Yeah.
But what about what appears right now?
Sawadee-krap, Ajahn. I wanted to ask you about, you just mentioned the Dhammas which are cause and the Dhamma which are result. It reminds me of the Atta Patisambhida and Dhamma Patisambhida. But I wanted to ask about the other two Patisambhida, which are especially the third one, Niruti Patisambhida, because usually they're talk about like they are only for very advanced understanding, and they're not. They cannot be developed anymore. But I think maybe it's just the full the full understanding is beyond is beyond it's beyond the one which is possible in these days. But still, there can be some beginner understanding of these words relating to the different aspects of understanding realities. And why did the Buddha made this? Why did the Buddha made this group of different way of understanding of Panya? Can you talk about the Patisambhida, the Niruti Patisambhida?
So, what's the meaning of Patisambhida?
I don't know. Panya.
Okay, Panya of the what? There are four Patisambhida, right?
Yeah.
What is the first?
Atta. I think it's Atta Patisambhida. The result.
Atta Patisambhida, the understanding of the Atta, the result.
Yeah.
What is the result? If we don't know, it's I or something all the time. But to understand the word of truth of the result, Atta Patisambhida, and then Dhamma Patisambhida, right? About the result, which comes from the cause.
Yeah.
So today we can understand the result, but we don't know the cause, the Dhamma Patisambhida enough. That's right. Even the Atta Patisambhida is not known clearly. Like now, whether it is Atta, the result, or not. For example, seeing right now, and after seeing there is clinging. So, if there is no Atta Patisambhida, how can there be the Dhamma Patisambhida? Because today, one was born, see, that is the result, to be born as such and such, see. And Dhamma Patisambhida, the condition for such birth or such happenings.
Okay.
For instance, when it's unwholesome and unpleasant, Atta Patisambhida. And Niruti Patisambhida. That's why just one word can have many meanings, and not just the meaning, but the absolute truth of that reality too. For example, when we talk about Atta Patisambhida, we don't think in terms of situation or beings, but what about the absolute truth? Can the Rupa be Atta, the result of Kamma?
Right, no, it can't.
See, that's why the well understanding, the very keen understanding of the result and keen understanding of cause can condition moment of letting go the idea of self. Each words of the Buddha will lead to more and more understanding of no self and no thing at all. And Niruti Patisambhidhamma, the way to use the word for the others to understand, because it's not just the translation of that word, like vitaka. How can one translate it? No words to make it clear, but the understanding of the characteristic of it, the nature of it, no matter what word is used, to make the other person understand the truth. That person has Niruti Patisambhida, the right word to use, like vitaka. See, how can one explain? If one think and explain it as thinking, it's vitaka. It's not right, because it arises with sampatichana after seeing. It does not think, but it just receives the object from the moment of seeing. If that is not seen, sampatichana cannot arise, but it arises instantly after seeing. And this is the understanding of the Atta Patisampita and the Dhamma Patisampita, and understand the word to use for the other to explain, not just follow the translation, because just translate, no understanding at all. So no matter in what language, if one can understand that in the simple way to understand the truth, that's better than just translate and do not understand the truth or the characteristic of that reality. Right?
Right. So is the speech conditioned by panya? Is niruti when?
Right. To understand the niruti from the other and to explain it correctly, to understand the true nature of it, no matter what word one used, just to understand. For example, no matter what you call it for chanda, but can it be interest? Because it can arise with kusala or akusala moment. And one understand from the teachings how many chittas arise without chanda. And that is the way to understand the Atta Patisampita and the Dhamma Patisampita. And when it's uttered or spoken out, one knows what does it mean. Even I use the wrong word or broken English, but if you can understand, that's the use of no matter what word is used, rather than try to use the correct, very well grammar and so on, but no understanding. See, I know that I have funny broken English, but if
No.
you can understand, then it's enough for me. See, no matter what word I use, like vitaka, see, it touches the object, but not like phassa. Phassa is just contact, and vitaka arises with sampatichana, not with seeing. This is the Atta Patisampita and the Dhamma Patisampita, and it can be Nirutti Patisampita, just to understand realities.
And the last one, Patibana Patisampita.
Patibana Patisampita. Very keen and bright understanding, brilliant understanding. It means clear, very clear understanding.
Okay.
To know what the question about what, and the answer is just about that, to make the other person understand. But if we don't know what that person does not understand, how can we answer? That is patibana, to know well about how to make the other understand.
Right.
And how to cope with such question. Just for understanding. Some might say that you do not answer my question, but the words which explain bring about the understanding. Not just tell them, but help them to understand. With apatisampita, can that person help the other to understand the truth? Even one understands it. But how to explain, how to help the other to fit their habits or accumulation or attention or interest to understand.
Yes.
So on your point, Alberto, about the level, they have to develop with understanding. So it's not a matter of waiting to become enlightened and then having patisampatas. They develop with understanding.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Ajahn. Thank you, sir.
I think that it's time now. สวัสดีค่ะ